We need to understand what this Constitution is. If you don't have a Constitution and you don't read it and you don't study it and you don't understand it, then it is very hard to support and defend it. And one of the fundamental things that we as Americans have to do is get back to an understanding of what this document is. Because you see, just within the last week, you see the New York Times and even one of our Supreme Court justices talking about how this document is irrelevant. It no longer applies. Well, I don't agree with that. Nor should any of us in this room today, nor should any American agree that this is an antiquated, outdated, useless document. This document is the cornerstone of our identity as a nation. It is the Constitution. It's the groundwork that our founding fathers laid for us. But you would be surprised at how little emphasis there is in our school system and our educational systems today on the Constitution of the United States. That is why there's so much infringement upon our Constitution today. That is why there is so much erosion of the founding liberties in our Constitution today. I've been doing a presentation, and I don't know, but maybe we'll do it before we leave here. I've been doing a presentation for churches and things like the Value Voters Summit that Tony Perkins has about the role of the church today. And one of the things that the church has to do is to go back in our history and understand the role that the church played, not only in the building of this nation, but in the very founding of America, the role the church played. And today, our Constitution and our liberties are being eroded.
That's right. By
so many attacks on that Constitution. One of those attacks is what I want to talk to you about today. You know, first of all, you need to remember that the liberties that are articulated in our Constitution came from sermons that were preached in the 13 colonies in America. From sermons that were preached in the 13 colonies in America. All those liberties came out of sermons that were preached, where they talked about
this
freedom.
Is a problem.
Talked
this
about
is a
liberty.
problem.
They talked about justice. They talked about self-government, all of which is scriptural. Yes, God created the family structure. He created the church structure, and he created civil government. But we as Christians, I think, bear the majority of the responsibility for the protection of our liberties and the sustainment of the government that he has given us. Since the days of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, America has been on a very rapid decline as we have moved towards becoming a socialist, Marxist, communist nation. Now you say, boy, that's a bold statement. Well, I just want to show you some things today and let you draw your own conclusion. But I would tell you there's no question in my mind, since Roosevelt, who is credited with bringing us out of the Great Depression, which in fact I think is historically inaccurate. I think it was World War II that brought us out and the industrial ramp up for World War II. But that said, I think that America is rapidly moving towards Marxism. So let's start with my slides here, and let me just give you a little test. What happened to the Marxist, anti-American, anti-capitalist, anti-war, dope-smoking, free-love Woodstock hippies of the 60s? How many of you remember the hippies of the 60s? I grew up in the 60s. I was in college in the 60s.
Oh, my legs.
Remember, they were all those things. Can you see that? That's not very good, is it? Over here, it's better? Okay, you can see it a little better over there. What happened to all those folks? Huh? They're here, huh? Well, yeah, they're teaching her. Well, let me give you some choices. They grew up, wised up, got jobs, raised families, and became conservatives. Is that what they did? Well, okay, Rick and Bart, yeah, maybe so, but I don't think that's what happened to the majority of them. How about they tripped on LSD and wound up on Mars where they live in communes today? Is that possible? That's a possibility. How about the third one? They all went to San Francisco and ran for the U.S. Congress.
Sounds
Could that
like
be?
it.
That's a big chunk of them did, didn't they? Huh? Yeah, that's right. Starting with former speaker and... All right, how about they went underground and planned for their future takeover of America?
Mm-hmm.
Is that possible?
Possible.
I can assure you that's what happened to the majority of them. They went underground. You know, we all thought they did go away. We thought they got over all of that. But I would tell you that not many of them did. A lot of them just went underground and they started planning their strategy. Here's their strategic plan. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but this is what they did. And by the time I get through here today, if you don't agree with me, come and see me as I'm signing books over there and we'll talk about it. They decided that in their strategic plan, they would use the theology of Marxism and the methodology of the Communist Party USA. Communist Party USA. Yes, we have a Communist Party USA. You realize? How many of you realize we have a very active Communist Party USA in America today?
I do.
All right? Every state in America has a Communist Party USA
Back
that is
then, I
operating in that state to foment cultural revolution in America. Cultural revolution. Do you realize we have a cultural revolution going on in America today? It is very real. And that's what we're seeing unfold right now. They also decided that they would use the teachings of Saul Alinsky as a guide and inspiration. And remember, Saul Alinsky wrote Rules for Radicals. How many of you in here have ever read Rules for Radicals? It is an eye-opening thing when you read this book. It's a little paperback book, not very long, but Saul Alinsky was a hardcore Marxist. And he talked about community organizing as being the way to start to change our society. There's a very strong message in his book, though, and that is you change the society from the bottom up, not from the top down. It has to start at the grassroots.
Yes.
You know where my glasses
Kind of sounds like the church, doesn't it?
In the
If you want to change society, you change it from the bottom up. What's the most fundamental thing?
Oh, she just ended it. Oh, that's the doggies for you. Okay, well, you saw where I was watching it on, so go Google it. It would have taken me an hour to film it anyway. So I got you started. I love you all. Be safe. And God bless.